get up, let me begin. This is 𝗬𝗎𝗎𝗎𝗪. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is 𝗬𝗎𝗎𝗪. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swish.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of State of the Jungle with Malik Wright, presented by the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by always my co-host. We've got 𝗦𝗡𝗢𝗕𝗏, 𝗦𝗚𝗢𝗔𝗏, and 𝗦𝗏𝗔𝗔𝗍𝗍𝗪. Before we get into everything, make sure you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Boys, before we jump into the show for a second, I was doing a lot of thinking. We come on the show and we kind of talk about the negatives a lot, obviously, because the Bengals have given us a lot of negatives to talk about. But, there are some positives in life that I do want to reflect on really quickly with y'all. When I jump on this show, well, let me take you back. When we first launched this show, everybody knows it's no secret. I never wanted to launch a Bengals show. That was just never something I was interested in doing, because I just think that the content grows stale. I think that anytime I step on this show and I speak to you guys, I want to have something worthwhile to say. I never want my message to grow stale, but you boys have sort of made this show so fun for me, so impactful for me in so many different ways. I really enjoy everyone, tuning in each and every single Wednesday, kind of giving their opinions and stuff like that. So I want to update you guys on some news. Obviously, you guys know this summer I kind of took a step back to kind of focus on my health a little bit, so I wasn't coming out with as much content. Guy got diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, and it was really, really, really bad, actually, to the point where my doctor had put me on a bunch of medication and stuff like that. And I'm kind of sharing this information just to kind of talk about the positives, because I kind of had a little bit of a step back moment, I would say, just this week dealing with everything. I recently went to my doctor for a checkup visit, and they said that, and I quote, "I am the poster kid of kicking diabetes ass." And so all the bad information that I had received, all throughout the summer, and all the pills and stuff that they tried to put me on, man, it winded up being something that they told me in a month or two we could talk about actually taking me off. So I just want to see how grateful I am for that. And what caused me to reflect on this a little bit, just to kind of touch in detail, is I was sitting back thinking of how awesome a team that I have truly is. When I came from New Jersey, and we talked about wanting to do big things here in Cincinnati, wanting to bring a different style of media to Cincinnati, wanting to bring a different show, right, to Cincinnati, I was called crazy. I was told this wasn't possible. And you look at it, man, in a few short weeks, we've done some amazing stuff. We were the first sit-down interview in Cincinnati that Ja'Marr Chase has ever done, that T. Higgins has ever done, right? We're the first ones that did all this kind of stuff like that. And I want to say that's a credit to you guys. That's a credit to our team here, man. That's a credit to Marissa. That's a credit to Daniel, who I annoy the out of each and every single day. Jimmy doing such a great job with the YouTube channel. But nothing really showed forth more than what happened last Saturday at the drop of a dime. We got a call. We didn't ask for these interviews. Last couple of interviews we didn't ask to do these stuff. We got a phone call, and it said, "Hey, do you want to interview 𝗪𝗏 Stewart? Do a sit-down interview with 𝗪𝗏 Stewart." And I said, "Sure, we'll do it." I said, "When?" They said, "Saturday." I called Evan. I called Logan. It was on Logan's birthday. And they showed up. And that meant so much to me, more than you guys actually realize. And you guys stayed the entire time. You showed up. You were there to support. And from the bottom of my heart, man, that means the fucking world to me. For me coming out here, and my only family, true family being out here, is Daniel, right? And not having that, the fact that you guys were willing to support, there were no egos. There was none of that. It was just, you guys understood what the vision always was when we first launched this thing in this process, and when we started out in this thing. So before we jump into the show, before we talk about all the negatives, because there's a lot of negatives we can talk to, I just really want to say from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely think that I have a kick-ass team. I genuinely think I have the best team that there possibly is. This show might have my name attached to it. The company might have my name attached to it, but genuinely speaking, I do not think I am the person that I am. I do not think I have the platform I am without Jimmy, without Daniel, without Marissa, without Evan, without Logan. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for always being with me on the ride. Yeah, I just wanted to say that from the bottom of my heart because I had to really take a step back and realize, man, some shit is just bigger than the other things. It's not about who doesn't support you. Focus on the folks that do support you. Focus on the folks that do celebrate your wins because those are the people that are worth going the extra mile for. So thank you guys so much. Anyway, I want to jump into it, the show a little bit.
Thank you as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm still trying to push through a little bit. I want to talk about your Bengals and Broncos takeaways, Evan and Logan. So with that being said, I genuinely need to know what were you guys' thoughts from that game? Evan, Logan, let's start with you.
My first initial thought is I was very thankful I got to miss the first half because we had a JV football game. And going back and watching the second half was, I mean, again, it was so ugly. It's so frustrating. It's bad offensive line play. It's bad quarterbacking play. It's bad play calling. It's just bad. You're not ready to play. You look like you don't want to be there. You're not competing from down to down. You're not. It's just everything from start to finish. Again, continuously just looked like a team that didn't give a shit, and that's the frustrating part to me. I mean, it even comes out, dude. We put together a pretty decent opening drive for once. Yes, there are some things that went our way, but then you get all the way down there. And you settle for a field goal after throwing a fade ball on 3rd and short. Yeah. You're not showing that aggressiveness to really go for it. You know you're on the road in primetime against a very good defense, and you're not trying to capitalize on the very few opportunities you are going to have. Little did they know they weren't going to cross midfield the rest of the game. Like, again, and that comes, everything about it was just ugly, unprepared, frustrating to watch. There was no hope. There was no flow. There was no excitement. There was no execution. There was literally almost no positives from the offensive side of the football and really much in anywhere. It was just, it's not a game that you want to talk about too much because there's not much that won't piss you off thinking about it. And again, I was very sad at first that I wasn't going to be able to catch the first half, but then, you go back and watch it, and I couldn't be more thankful that I wasn't there ruining most of my Monday night and just the tail end of it. I mean, I maybe Evan will be a little more positive about it. I know he won't, but at the end of the day, there was just not much good going on, and you can kind of see the frustration starting to really mount amongst the team, which is a large issue.
Yep.
I understand that the players are making mistakes. I understand that the players seem to not know their assignments on every 5, 6, 7 plays, what have you. There seems to be someone very confused about what's going on, whether that's offense or defense, whether that's who they're supposed to block in the run game, whether that's who they're supposed to cover or who is the spy for the running quarterback when you're playing man defense in the red zone. But also, again, this is when you are losing this bad. And again, we know we're talking about what's right here. Yes, the roster construction has been shit. The process has not been good. Signing Mike Pennell and having him outstart and having an inactive 3rd round pick that you just chose last year, like, not ideal. And the guy off the street is beating him out. Not ideal. Yes, the front office, the team, the way they operate, the ownership, yes. But we are just talking about what we can do on the field right now. We'll have all offseason to talk about the front office. The backflips that some people are doing. I mean, y'all, like, go try out for the circus. You can have a lucrative career. Like, go do Circus d'Olay, because the backflips and the somersaults and the acrobatics that people are doing to try and absolve Zach Taylor of any wrongdoing here by going, well, he doesn't have control of this offense because, Joe Burrow wants this, that, and Zach Taylor's helpless to do it. And now it's Jake Browning. And now it's, well, Dan Pitcher actually has his fingerprints all over this because he knows Jake Browning and he's talking to him at practice. And it's like, dude, guys, this is Zach Taylor's team. Zach Taylor is the play caller. Zach Taylor has been the play caller. Zach Taylor is the offensive head coach. That was the whole point of him being here. And yes, the execution is not great. And yes, when Browning makes a check with 7 seconds left on the play clock, and then it ends up being 3, 2, 1, and suddenly the defense can jump the snap. Yeah, that one's on Browning. But this has been a problem since Burrow. This is continuing to be an issue when you were billed with Jake Browning as, hey, yeah, he knows the system. He's comfortable. We're all comfortable with each other. We know each other's strengths. We can't even get the fucking play call in. We can't even get in and out of the huddle in a reasonable amount of time that doesn't give the defense a significant advantage over what they already freaking have. It's 3rd and 2 and you're going 5 wide like you're fucking Joe Burrow's playing quarterback. Broncos aren't scared of you running the ball with the running back there. They're especially not scared when you have nobody back there and it's just Jake Browning. And they're saying, Jake Browning to throw the ball versus us and your offensive line, you've got 2 seconds, especially when you're jumping the snap constantly. That's coaching. The consistent problem with getting the play call in, that's coaching. We're 5 weeks into the fucking season right now, and you just can't tell me that 9-10-year veteran 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧 doesn't know how to block for inside zone, doesn't know who he's supposed to block. We can't. It's just all of these things, guys. Again, I'm not trying to blame Zac Taylor solely because Jake Browning throwing jump balls and locking into one read pre-snap and then refusing to move off it, that's on Jake Browning. But to say, here's some plays where there were some open receivers and Zach got us to the Super Bowl and he was really nice to me at Kroger that one time. And he does a lot of good things at the charity events. Yes, those can all be true, but we're talking about on the fucking field product right now. And Zac Taylor said it himself, we need to be great. Fuck, dude, I'd settle for okay right now. I'd settle for looking like an NFL team and not an XFL team for a change for the last 2 weeks. And if that's your bar, truly, to be great, you're falling short by your own admission. Like, sincerely and significantly. This is not a splitting hairs situation. So again, this is a loss born on all fronts. This is Al Golden and the defense not executing on the Bo Nix run. Like I said, man defense, who's spying the quarterback, what's going on? Too late. He's in the end zone. Crap. All right. The offensive script, okay, looks decent, looks okay, looks passable. Okay, maybe we haven't, no offense tonight. What's different about the first 7 or 10 plays that you just can't fucking get going the rest of the fucking game?
But run them again.
I just don't, that's what I don't get, is because you can go out there with the opening script and then suddenly the play calling, the sequencing, it's like, hey, there was a plan. That worked. Okay, cool. And then it just disappears. That's, again, Al Golden dropping Trey Hendrickson into coverage 5 or 6 times. Dude, no one else can get fucking pressure. And Shamar Stewart is not out there, who is the only other guy who's managed to get pressure. You're not going to survive that way. You drop fucking Trey Hendrickson, he's going to have a hard enough time getting around Penny Sewell constantly. You're dropping him into coverage, Jared Goff's going to have all fucking day to throw, and you're going to get carved up. Again, not all of this is on Zac Taylor, but please, guys, everyone deserves blame here. So let's relax with the acrobatics and trying to figure out how we can just, the front office, and yes, but also the coaching things, but also knowing your assignment, but also showing up ready to play. Also showing up, like I said, the work that you put in the offseason results in the product that you see week to week to week right now. And we heard so goddamn much about how this process was changed, how this offseason was going to be different, how they figured it out, how they weren't going to have these slow starts and look utterly inept. And yeah, Joe Burrow got hurt. But you look at all levels, all coaches, offensive line, defense in general, whole thing, everything looks like you haven't run these plays before. Looks like you are so woefully unprepared compared to the rest of the NFL. How do you get there? Every day of what you did in the offseason. Everything you did to prepare for this team. And that falls squarely on the shoulders of the head coach, whether that's fair or not. And Zac Taylor wears that flag and dives on the sword better than anybody else. And I respect the hell out of him for it, because it would be very easy to say, this is all the front office's fault. I'm dealt a shit hand and do the Dabo Sweeney shit right now. And he's not. He's taking the heat for his guys. He's taking the heat for the front office. And Zach, my hats are off to you there, dude, because it fucking sucks to be the guy who's having to take the brunt of all this. But it's also what you signed up for. And it falls on you in these instances to be the leader. And right now, that team is not showing up, and that falls with you.
I mean, you cooked there. Said a lot. Yeah, is anything you want to add before I get to the next? Okay. So the question is, I want to pose to y'all is, where do the Bengals go from here? And that is a loaded question. That is a loaded question. Danny, what are your thoughts? Where do you think the Bengals go from here?
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 games, Detroit Lions and Green Bay. This is about to be a rocky ride. And the 2 points that I'll make, we said this on the post-game show. Once again, we appreciate everybody watching. There's only 2 ways that this can go, right? And the way you can address the biggest problems for me, number 1 is quarterback. That is clear and away. That is one of the biggest problems. So what can you do, right? Joe Burrow is likely out for the next 10 weeks or so. What can you do right now? The only possible thing you can do is you roll with Jake Browning or you go out and trade for somebody. So that is number 1, right? If you're sticking by Jake Browning, if that's your guy, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure over the next 10 games. Because in order to put yourself in the spot for a playoff run, you probably got to win at least 6 of your next 10. And do I believe that they can do that with Jake Browning on the team as their starter by himself? I don't think so. So for me, I would look outward. That's what I would do. I would look at Russell Wilson. I would call around, because this is your job on the line. I'm talking to the head coach. This is your season on the line. And if you are playing for the future, okay, then maybe don't try it out. But what does it hurt you to go out and call somebody about a Russell Wilson, about a Jameis Winston? Just give them a call, because I'm putting myself in the shoes of somebody that is likely has my ass on fire by the hot seat right now. I'm saying, hey, I need to do everything possible. And quite frankly, when you watch the film, it is clear Jake Browning had a very poor game. Very poor game. Whether that's Zach Taylor or not, there's multiple times you can clearly pinpoint Jake Browning. This is on you. So you have to look for something else, because to be quite honest with you, I think the Detroit Lions defense rivals the Denver Broncos so far this season. I think the Green Bay Packers defense rivals what you've seen the past 2 weeks. I don't think it's a deep drop off of, hey, well, we play 2 tough teams, 2 tough defenses, it's going to get a lot easier. That's bullshit. You're about to face 2 teams who are likely to steamroll you if you don't put up any resistance. Those are 2 teams. They are not going to be a letdown game. That's not them. That is not the Green Bay Packers. They just dropped 40 on the Dallas Cowboys. That's not Detroit Lions.
Didn't win.
Yeah. And that was a team on the Dallas Cowboys. They showed fight. The Cincinnati Bengals have to show fight. So for me, that is question number 1. And question number 2 is the Zach Taylor question, right? And to be quite honest with you, it sucks to say, but we are in the win now business. You are in the show me stage, because when you look at the schedule, I find it very hard to believe that you can go the next 3 games without a win and Zach Taylor is not facing serious questions, and hell, maybe not even out after these next 3 games. And that's a very real possibility. Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are 3 very difficult teams. And I'm just setting the bar at 1 win, right? If you can't get 1 win out of the next 3, by week 7, by week 8, I do think that we would have some serious conversations. So that's just kind of how I view this of, hey, maybe they don't win against the Detroit Lions. I look at this as the next 2 games I'm kind of bunching them together. I'm saying, hey, you at least need 1 of the next 2, and that is a tall task to face. So, like I said, especially if you go on to lose these next 2 games, you're 2-4. Your season is looking down in the dumps. I don't know if you can turn that around. And at that point, then you got to look towards the future. Then you got to look at, hey, how do we come back next year? How do we build momentum to build a contender for next season? I just don't think that Zach Taylor is the guy. And I think that's when you can have serious conversation of, hey, maybe it's not a season-ending thing. Maybe it is soon. So I hate to say it, but these next 3 games are pivotal to where if you lose the next 3, I find it very hard to believe that Zach Taylor survives the rest of the season.
Logan, can I ask you something, man?
Oh,
like,
God,
I
yes,
want to hear, because you're our sitting coach, man.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to to give your thoughts from a coaching perspective, because you have that experience of, hey, like I am trying to teach these players to execute. How much responsibility do you see in the lack of preparation and the lack of executing assignments and the lack of being able to do the simple things like line up properly and get the ball hiked with a reasonable amount of time? And people say, hey, there's open receivers, but if you have a zone beater and you have a man beater on either side of your concept, someone's probably going to be open every play. It's about getting there. Like that can't just absolve you, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. I think for me, in terms of that, it comes down to having them prepared, and then not even necessarily having them prepared, because there's going to be times where the team you're playing is that much better than you, or these matchups are just things you can't really overcome. And then that's where it again continues to fall on the coach, where then they have to call the things that you can block properly, that you can do this, you can run the right routes, you do know the reads no matter what. And yes, Jake Browning has not made the right reads. He has not thrown the ball to the open receiver. The line has not blocked the guy standing right in front of them. And that is a number of issues that all stem back to that preparation. Obviously we have a general idea of how the process for a week goes for the NFL. They're going to scout their team. They're going to put in what they think is best. They're going to go over this front, that front, what they do on this down, that down, this down distance. Like they have so much more information to where it's, to me, like that stuff you are professionals. You are the best of the best. We're not blocking the freaking nose tackle half the time on the run. You're not blocking the guy standing 2 inches in front of you.
It's 101 shit.
And that's the stuff, like that is by far the thing that I think screams the coaching the most. Because even if you do know that our guys struggle with this scheme or that scheme, pulling this way, whatever it is, you as a coach know better than anybody what your players can execute, what they can run, what they feel comfortable doing. And if you're not putting them in those situations, then it's just going to continue to make everything worse. And the Bengals don't seem to be doing anything easy. We talked about the last couple of weeks about how the Browning offenses should be easier. It's a lot of these more easy button stuff, a lot of these designed looks, and we're still not getting those, so that's where that frustration stems from a coaching standpoint. As much as Browning is sucking, nothing is helping him. We're not doing anything up front, or we're just not doing anything to be good right now. We're not doing anything to be an average football team at all. And, just to kind of go back to the question now, just about where do we go from here? I mean, we've been utterly embarrassed the last 2 weeks, utterly embarrassed. There's no hiding it. And now you're playing two of the better teams in football, and then you're going to go play a divisional opponent. Like there's no bigger stretch of football that has almost no hope than what you're facing right now. The Packers and the Lions are two of the best teams in football. Those are teams that have Super Bowl aspirations in just utter dominance week in and week out. And you want us to feel good about scoring 3 points and not crossing midfield? Now we got to play this team. I have very little faith in anything the Bengals are going to do the rest of the year. So for me, when we go from here, I'm in full talent evaluation mode. Like we just talked about, Mike Pennels has been a pretty solid addition right now, but who gives a shit at this point? We're not doing nothing. He's 30-something years old. Let him go play football somewhere else. Let's go look at McKinley Jackson, who hasn't played a snap yet this year, so we can figure out what the hell to do with him. Like we're already seeing it more with Jalen Rivers, which I don't know exactly. I don't want to credit them for that. It just seems like, again, of a lack of, this is our best worst option here right now. Let's do that. But at this point, I have no faith against them against the Lions. I have no faith for them against the Green Bay Packers. And that point, you're 2-4, probably getting embarrassed in 4 straight games. You have to figure out what you have, who you have for the future, because that's what everything is all about now. We need to figure out if Myles Murphy is a piece to keep around. I think Dax Hill's been great. If DJ Turner's a guy we resign, if Cam Taylor's a guy we resign, if Jordan Battle's a guy we want to continue to extend and look for, if Barrett Carter's good, is Demetrius, like we have to figure out all this stuff the rest of the year. That is just where I'm at because of how poorly everything has looked these last 2 weeks, and it's given me no faith for these next 2 weeks. And if these next 2 weeks go like I think the world expects them to go, that is 4 straight weeks of getting your ass beat. Like that is hard for anybody to deal with. And it just ruins everything. You're already playing about your leader, your best player, one of the best players in the league. Everybody's getting frustrated, and just to get assuming 4 bad losses back to back does nothing good for anybody.
Yeah, and I've got one thing before I pass it right back to Evan. Like the thing we talked about this on the post game show, but I can't get over it. It was the lack of fight with this team, and obviously there are 53 players on the roster. But for me, I struggle to believe that it's just about the players. I mean, you go look at teams, whether it's the Los Angeles Chargers under Brandon Staley, automatically they turn a new leaf with Jim Harbaugh. Same thing. You look at the New England Patriots under Gerard Mayo last year, now under Mike Vrabel, they look like a completely different team just from the pure appearance on the football field. So for me, where I struggle with this football team and how they move forward in a successful season right now is the lack of fight. You see what Ja'Marr Chase said in his press conference after the game. He said, we just didn't want it. And it's almost the same thing that you just said against the Minnesota Vikings. And me personally, I blame that on the culture. I blame that somebody has got to step up. And for right or for wrong, the head coach is the guy that is going to take and wear that burden. It is. And the reason why I also say that is I look at the end of the game and I'm firmly confident that I feel like that team quit. That was a team that looked like they quit. I went back and rewatched some of the offensive plays as well. Something I saw, the receivers, whether it was T. Higgins, Yoshi Vaz, even Mike Gesicki at times, just a lack of want to in the blocking game. They threw a quick screen to Ja'Marr Chase on the left side. Somebody missed their block. And yes, Mike Gesicki's not the greatest blocker. T. Higgins at times is not the greatest blocker. But that is something, and you can attest to this, everybody here can attest to it, that is something that is instilled with the coaching staff. That is something that the coaching staff has got to get their team ready to go. And quite frankly, for me, if I was in that locker room, I see my team not go for it on the 4th and 3 at the end of the game. I see my coach not willing to call timeouts at the end of the game. Let the game go out. Let's go on to next week. You just saying that same bullshit after the Minnesota Vikings game. Now you're saying it again? So for me, that's where I struggle with this. And that's what I'm looking for in this upcoming game. That's what I need to see, because to be quite honest with you, I have no faith that changes. But that was the biggest red flag I saw, because it wasn't just one player. It wasn't just one person. It was multiple people time and time again. And for me, when the head coach at the end of the game doesn't go for it on that 4th and 3, doesn't go for it at the beginning of the game, waves the white flag, that just sets a very bad omen for how the rest of these games are going to go. And I think they need to change that drastically. And that's what Zach Taylor, the game that they had last year against the Baltimore Ravens, where they went for it predetermined every single time.
I'm glad you brought this up, because this is something that I have long complained about with Zach Taylor, is that he is not aggressive enough when it makes sense to be.
No feel for the game.
This is not like, hey, the analytics say you're on your own 39 and it's 4th and 1, you should go for it. Like, no, this is like, hey, you might not get the ball back, but if you get a first down here, your chances of winning the game skyrocket like 10, 20%. Okay. Or, hey, you have the lead, and if you get one first down, you win the game. And instead you just call chicken shit coward run plays for 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard punt, and then trust your bad defense to not do it, right? This has been a problem since year 1 with Zach Taylor. And I bring this up all the time. Joe Burrow's rookie year, playing the Eagles in overtime, just punt, 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 punt. Opener, again, against the Patriots, 4th and 5. Go win the fucking game, because your defense, again, has missed 12, 13 tackles at that point and has given up 8 yards a carry. No one believes that the Pats aren't about to get in range to go score and win the game. You can win the game. Trust your team. You're built through the offense, but never. When you had Joe Burrow, oh, he's a rookie, we don't want to put to, okay, well, now he's top 3 and Ja'Marr Chase is top 3 and you got T. Higgins and he's top 10. So why are we still not going for it? What is holding you back? You're telling me, again, as an offensive head coach, with the game on the line, you're not holding a play or two in the back of your head that you're going, hey, guys, we practice this one 3-4 times a week, every fucking week, just to make sure we got this when we need it. You're telling me you don't fucking have that. Then what do you do here? Every single time one of these situations pop up, one of these 4th and 1s, 4th and 2s, game on the lines, he punts all the fucking time, except for that one Baltimore game where he did the reverse thing where you went for it too much, even when the analytics says punt, kick, do whatever. He's like, no, 4th down. We're supposed to go for it. Like this is being aggressive, right? It's different from what Dan Campbell does, right? It's different from John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. Oh, fuck that. We're going for it. Like you said, it's a mentality thing. It's fuck that. We're taking it to the defense, not, oh God, oh, I really hope this works. Oh man, like it's just, there's no fucking confidence, man. Like go out there and go fucking take it to him, man. Like it's, you take on the personality of your coach, and in every big moment, you refuse to put your fucking nuts on the table. You refuse to show your team that, hey, I'm about this. Let's go get it. Because you're not about playing to win. If you play to win and you end up losing, hey, you don't get that 4th down. Hey, you put it in the hands of your fucking quarterback who makes $50 some odd million a year, and you gave it to your chance, your wide receiver who's an all-star, an all-pro who makes $30 million a year. Hey, you tried. It just didn't work out. Fuck it. I can live with that. I can live with you trying to win and failing. What I can't live with is constantly playing like you're scared to lose, because that's not acceptable. Playing to win and losing, that's forgivable. Playing not to lose constantly and just taking that back seat, being so passive. Oh, I want them to make a mistake. Oh, fuck that. Go win the game. Go win the game. You don't have that dog in you. You don't have that fight. And you see the players respond for all these coaches. They're not going after the game going, oh man, coach, we really should have punted that ball. They're like, no, we wanted that. We wanted that. And guess what? Next time we're going to fucking get it. Never seen that mentality from this team. Never seen that physicality from this team. Never seen that aggressiveness from this team, from Zac Taylor. And I think that speaks volumes as much as anything else that you can point to.
There was a lot of cooking just now. And I just sat back and I watched. So I'm going to give my 2 cents on this thing, guys, and I'll try to be brief. Who am I kidding? Good luck with that, right? I mean, undisciplined, unmotivated, no fight, no physicality. Quit. That was the Bengals on Monday night against the Denver Broncos. Why are we shocked at this point? I don't know why we are. We shouldn't be. This is who Zac Taylor is. You know, I would like to welcome everybody to the party. Welcome everyone to the train, because I've been preaching this probably for about 3 years now. Zac Taylor showed me a long, long while who he is as a head coach. He has no backbone. He has no identity. And it shows each and every single week when he consistently gets out coached. I'm not shocked by it. Not shocked by it. And nobody should be here. The Bengals thought that they were geniuses. They thought that maybe they struck gold when they hired Zac Taylor. Zac Taylor, I asked you guys this before. Did he get where he got? As far as he got? And I mean this with all due respect, but I genuinely have to ask about it. We use the word nepotism, and we use the word about who you know, your friends, because of him marrying Mike Sherman's daughter. I mean, these are real questions that we have to ask, because he's failed everywhere he's been. UC, if you're a University of Cincinnati Bearcats fan, he got fired as the offensive coordinator there. Offense was abysmal. Got fired with Miami Dolphins as the offensive coordinator when he took over on Joe Philbin's staff. Made it to the Rams, wide receivers coach, quarterback coach, Cincinnati Bengals head coach, and somehow we expect a coach who had a losing record before Joe Burrow got here, a team that he coached were largely non-competitive. We expect him to automatically change his stripes. All right, did I get that right? Did I do that thing that they want? All right. Zac Taylor is who he is. There's no changing that. I don't care how many people stand there and say Zac Taylor, and there's Zac Taylor apologists and there's Zac Taylor believers. And guess what? There is a place for that. I love a little bit of delusion. I love that because I think it's needed. But don't let the delusion be the people who you get your information from. Listen here. Listen here, and listen here very, very closely. Zac Taylor is who he is as a head coach, guys. And you know what? If you want to know something that is happening here in Cincinnati, it's very, very quite clear to me. It's a situation at the head coach where the quarterback is uplifting the head coach and not the other way around. Usually we talk about putting the quarterback in a position to succeed. But what happens now when you have a quarterback who is inept in Jake Browning, and you also have a head coach in Zac Taylor who's inept? Who's uplifting who? Well, now you're looking to the wide receiver, Ja'Marr Chase, the alpha male, the dog in the room, to uplift that guy. And Ja'Marr Chase can't throw to himself. Here's a cold fact for you guys. The fact of the matter is, if you aren't the solution, you're a part of the problem. And if you're a part of the problem, you have to go. Listen to me, Cincinnati Bengals fans. I wish that I set up on this show. I wish that I had this mic and I talked about how the Bengals are still fighting and they're winning and they're putting up points. They're putting up great offense, even with Joe Burrow out. But that is not the case. The reason why I cannot listen to the Zac Taylor apologist, because Zac Taylor is the same coach that looked at Jake Browning and said, you know what, Jake Browning is going to be our backup quarterback. So you live and you die by this sword. Guess what? Because moving on from Jake Browning, going out there and trading for a quarterback would tell you that, hey, I was wrong about Jake Browning. My evaluation was wrong, and I actually do not know how to evaluate the quarterback position because Joe Burrow fell into the Cincinnati Bengals' laps. I'm the same coach that went out there and made Ryan Finley a priority. And you thought benching Andy Dalton, you'd get more out of Ryan Finley. But I'm somehow supposed to believe the guy that played quarterback in Nebraska, who had a brief, I'm talking about stint in the NFL, all of a sudden knows how to evaluate the quarterback position all of a sudden because he sniffed Sean McVay's shoulder. He knows how to be a head coach in the National Football League. And I'm supposed to believe that he knows how to coordinate an NFL offense, although he never had to earn the chops to do so. Somehow, I'm supposed to believe all these things. Well, guess what? I'm from the show me state. You have to show me what you're capable of as a head coach in the National Football League. And what Zac Taylor has shown me 7 years in, no identity. I do not care what nerds might tell you, how they might tweak numbers and make it seem this way. Joe Burrow is the reason for Zac Taylor's success. Zac Taylor is a Joe Burrow merchant. That is a fact. So we sit up here and we talk about where do the Bengals go from here? Well, where do the Bengals go from here? That is a very fair question. The only thing you could hope for is, hey, maybe they somehow find a way to rattle off a win. Maybe they find a way to get a couple of wins, and then maybe they pray and they rush Joe Burrow back, and then Joe Burrow rattles off some more wins, and it saves Zac Taylor's job. That is the hope, right? Because here's a fact. The next two games, you're dealing with teams that are Super Bowl contenders in the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. You're dealing with teams who have prolific offenses. And I feel bad for Al Golden. I saw somebody put this tweet out there too, and I feel bad for him. You have Al Golden, who left Notre Dame. Great spot, man. Great spot to be in. Defensive coordinator to come here to a coaching staff that is on the hot seat. Nobody in the media wants to say it. I'll say it. Nobody's on the hot seat. The coaching staff is on the hot seat. You know, I also want you to put up a question, Jimmy. Somebody asked us this question. I'll make sure I get it. They said it was UOG293. You guys are friends with all the media. Why can't you guys get your friends to ask the real questions in the presser, or do they love their mock turtle soup once a year too much? You mean the media that ignores me, the media that acts like I don't, the media that acts like I don't do interview, that media? I'm friends with maybe one or two of them, but for the most part, I'll call a spade because fuck friendships. They don't like me. I'm an outsider. I'm not from Cincinnati. I'm a guy that's ruffled a couple of feathers. I broke more news than all. Like, that's a fact. That is a realistic fact. And listen, I don't blame them. They can't say certain stuff because if they do, then they'll get pulled in a PR locker room and they'll say, if you say that, we'll pull your credential. That's a fact. Did I say too much?
No, I think you kind of nailed it, because like that's the point, is right, because once you get that access to the ownership and Katie Blackburn is talking to you directly about the Trey Hendrickson negotiations and giving you details. Yes, that's the problem, is that kind of skews how you're going to report things, right? You're going to omit certain things. You're going to walk certain lines, and that kind of can color what you talk about and how you talk about it. And that's because you're afraid not to just lose your access to the team, but to your inside the team source and your inner workings. Yeah, that can give you excellent breaking news and stories, but
news that
also that fits their narrative.
News that they never broke.
I personally don't like calling Trey an absolute diva for demanding the money that he was promised he was going to get, that he said, hey, I'll kick the can down the road and I'll bet on myself and then we'll circle back around. And then the whole, I believe people should be paid with their work. That's me. Like, that's, crazy thing. But yeah, no, I agree. It's you can tell. I think there's people who go about it just fine, just the right way. And like you said, yeah, there's the traditional, like, we want to be professional and have a very neutral tone and, you know, walk that line to make sure we don't lose our access.
That's needed. That's needed also.
That is important.
I think
it's the people who have the sources that don't
Yes.
want to give that up,
Yes.
that access. That's the problem.
But even the
Yeah.
sources aren't. Cincinnati has not had. I'm not trying to be a dick when I say this. Cincinnati's never had a
Sorry,
insider.
ties to ownership, not
Yes.
sources.
So,
People inside the
you know,
organization,
like,
yeah.
Cincinnati's really never had. Respectfully, I'm the first Cincinnati Bengals real NFL insider that they've ever had. That is not me. Listen, I kind of tiptoed on the line, but I'll say it. Fuck it, I'll say it. And that's not me trying to toot my own horn. That's just an absolute fact. But it's also because they don't get that. They don't get that type of information. Their job is to cover the team, write their stories, do their podcast. I don't want to make this necessarily, and nobody on this platform is trying to do that, make this an attack on them, but they have to operate within the constraints in which they've been given. And I completely understand that. I expect that. I get that. You need people like them, but you also need people like us, because again, why I started my own company and I went to journalism school, the whole 9 yards, is I wanted to stop this notion that you can't be a fan and also report news and also do shows and also do podcasts. The fact of the matter is you can. I'm living proof of it. Oh, you can't do that because you won't get close to the players. You won't do interviews. You can. I'm living proof of that. So I say all that to say you all got into this game because you love sports to a degree. You are fans of teams. Some of them I know for a fact are Bengals fans because they've told me they are. And I get it. You have to suppress being a Bengals fan. And there's a certain level of professionalism. And you can't say certain stuff because those same certain players you talk about, you have to then see in the locker rooms. And certain players already don't like certain media members. But that goes for any city that you go to. The simple fact of the matter is, if I ruffle feathers while saying this, I'll say this. Guess what? The Bengals like to control the narrative. They always have, and it's the reason why Duke Tobin can say the things he says, do his 1 year press conference that you see at the NFL Combine, or you see him talk to the media, and then they go off on their merry way. The fact of the matter is, the expectation for this team was much higher. Much higher. My name's Malik Wright. As long as I have a mic sitting in front of me, I will continue to press for this organization to do great things. I used to do it in New Jersey on 331 Morrison Ave in Hightstown, New Jersey. But guess what? It didn't have the same impact because I was in New Jersey, but I'm here in Cincinnati now, and I will continue to push the agenda forward. Bengals fans do not settle for less. Bengals fans, guess what? Next season, Joe Burrow, December 10th, will be 30 years old. It went by just that fast.
Hey, chill out on 30-year-olds.
No,
all right?
I'm not. Because putting that in perspective, someone said to me when I put that tweet out, well, Josh Allen will be 30 years old next year. Well, Josh Allen also hasn't had multiple season-ending injuries. And it's a fact. And the point of me putting that tweet out, and I deleted it, because I didn't want people to get the wrong idea of me saying I'm blaming Burrow. So people twisted that a little bit. No, the point of me saying Joe Burrow's 30 years old is how fast this thing can turn, how fast this thing can be over almost. He's 30 years old. He's had the same head coach for 7 years. It hasn't worked.
No.
Listen, it hasn't worked. You haven't been able to break through. You haven't been able to win a championship. You haven't been able to push through. 7 years. I'm sorry. 6 years with Joe Burrow. But 7 years of the same coach. What are you hoping to see from Zach Taylor? What are you going to see in year 8? What are you going to see? There's a stat out there, Daniel. My good friend Harrison told me a while ago. You know, coaches and quarterback duos that went to go to the Super Bowl and lose, I think it's within their first 4 years or something like that, never go back or something like that. I don't want to mess it up. Anyway, it's okay to change. You kept Zach Taylor on the job for 7 years. Guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles thought that they were going to win with Andy Reid. It didn't happen. He went on to have a great career. He did. They both worked out for them. The Philadelphia Eagles have won a Super Bowl. It's okay to change. It's okay to say it's no longer a fit. That is okay. Being afraid to change, being afraid to say, oh, what do we do after Zach? I don't know. That that you can't let that be the reason it holds you back. And people say, well, Joe Burrow like Zach. Joe Burrow will like any coach that comes in here who will support them because he says all the right things. Also, Zach is all he's ever known since he entered the National Football League. A coach that caters to him, a coach that listens to him, a coach that lets him do what he wants to do. Hey, you want to be in shotgun 85%, 95% of the time? Sure, I'll let you do it. We will never have to go under center. That's what he's known. I'll say what nobody else has said, really. I don't think Zach Taylor is NFL caliber. And I think his record without Joe Burrow has proved that. Yes, they went on a magical run in 2023 when Joe Burrow got hurt. But is that all we're living off of? Is that all we're going off of?
Seems like it.
Remember, Joe Burrow had glowing things to say about Lou Anarumo, too, before he got fired. And you see, I think that sometimes, just sometimes, guys, I think loyalty. That's the thing I love about the Bengals and the fan base. We're very loyal to players, right?
The ones that don't cost money, yeah, sure. Yeah.
We're loyal to players, though, and I think sometimes we let the efforts that people do in communities and stuff like that kind of go, absolve them of criticism or change. And for me, it's okay. At the end of the day, we're not saying we want Zach Taylor to stay the head coach of the Bengals because he's a good guy. I'm saying I want a head coach that's going to win us fucking football games. You could be an asshole for all I care. The media can hate you for all I care. You could give the most bland interviews, but be a winner. And I don't care. You can never show your face in the community. Are the Bengals winning? That is what we want to know at the end of the day. Fuck the nice guy stuff. Mm-hmm. Are you a winner or are you a loser at the end of the day? That's what it's going to come down to. Daniel said something great. The head coach, right? The team takes on the personality of the head coach. And if that is the case, this team has no fight, no heart, and they've shown that. Mm-hmm. They have shown that. Why are we judging Zach Taylor off of anything other than are we winning or are we losing? I don't care if he's a good guy. I don't care if he signs your autographs before the game start. I don't care if he goes to your kid's middle school and gives a speech about perseverance. Are the Bengals winning or are they losing? I don't care that he goes to your bar and takes pictures with you. I don't. Are the Bengals winning or are the Bengals losing? I don't care if he shouts you out in press conferences. Are the Bengals winning or are the Bengals losing? That is what a head coach should be based off of. Tom Coughlin was the toast of the town in New Jersey, in New York. He started losing, and Giants fans said, get Coughlin the fuck out of here. That is a fact. Bill Belichick won how many Super Bowls with the New England Patriots? He started losing, and Patriots fans said, get him the fuck out of here. If they're expendable, why isn't Zach? Cincinnati Bengals fans start operating with the realization that we deserve better. We know we deserve better. And you should require better, putting your hard-earned money. Because guess what? For as loyal as you are to the Bengals, and I was told to delete this tweet back when I was with First Star. I shouldn't have said that name. But listen to this. You guys show so much loyalty to the Bengals, you season ticket holders, all you guys out there, right? Mm-hmm. But the moment the Bengals started having success, what did they do to y'all? They raised those fucking ticket prices, and the people that were season ticket holders, guess what? They had to go be regulated to watching those games from their couch.
And they got a cheap-ass gift bag for it all, too. Yeah.
Fuck the people that supported us for years when we sucked and all that kind of stuff like that. So you want to talk about loyalty? You want to tell your fan base to stripe out the jungle? The absolute moment that y'all started winning, you forgot the people that stuck by you for all those years. I know. I was one of those people that went to a Bengals game during the COVID season. Oh, yeah. driving from Jersey in the COVID season. So yeah, there were people that supported this team time and time and time again. So we want to talk about loyalty and support. You guys have supported this team. You guys have fun. I will never say boycott the Bengals. I will never say don't show up to games. But what I will say, don't ever let anybody question your fucking fandom and how much you support this team time and time again. Because I see too much of that bullshit that happens on social media. The fact of the matter is there were people that stood by this team during the Andy Dalton days, losing playoff games time and time and time again, year in and year out, and they still showed up. Getting blown out Zach Taylor's first year, they still showed up time and time again. So people have the right to be pissed, to be annoyed, and if it ruffles feathers, so what? That's what this fucking town needs. They need to be upset. They need to feel uncomfortable. That's what they need. So Bengals, ball's in your court. You're 2-2. Your entire season behind you. Don't sit up in a press conference and tell me that Jake Browning is the answer the rest of the year. That's bullshit. Save the stats. Save the bullshit. Save the kind of keep your relationship safe. Call it what it is. That dude is not an NFL caliber quarterback. The Minnesota Vikings knew it, which is why they moved off of him, which is why he was a practice squad player, which is why he was about to retire unless the Bengals called him because he was going to be a car salesman in Washington. That is a fact. Loyalty, though, right? That's what we're talking about. Loyalty. I'm done. If you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notification so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. Guys, I want to let you know before we keep going. Man, I'm just sick. I'm sick to my stomach, honestly. We listened to you guys in the comment section. People said, hey, we want you guys. We want you guys to start dropping merch. So that's what we did. We dropped merch. We officially have State of the Jungle merch officially on the TWSN website. I'm not going to use this as a platform to say, hey, go buy a shirt and all that kind of stuff like that. But definitely want you guys to now know that you have the option to support the show, support the guys. I know a lot of people have been wanting to rep it and all that kind of stuff like that. So definitely want to do that. And all the proceeds that anybody purchases will put towards a good cause as well. So I want to thank you guys for always supporting the show and keeping it going. So one of the questions, are being posed is, would the Bengals consider a midseason head coaching change? I think that there would be a lot that needs to happen in order for that to happen. But I also think that the ingredients for anything such to happen would be an abysmal showing against the Packers and the Lions. Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I agree. And I kind of came into the season not expecting this. Obviously, I don't think anybody expected this, but I was always of the mindset, hey, all right, you're going to be in playoff contention. For me, the bar was always playoffs. That's how I viewed this upcoming season. I said, hey, the past 2 seasons, you didn't make the playoffs. You got to get in the dance, because I believe last year they would have been in the dance. I think they would have a good shot to at least upset a couple teams. This year, heading to this year, healthy Joe Burrow, healthy team. I don't care about the offensive line. They could have improved it more, whatever. They could improve the defense better or whatever. This is a playoff caliber team. All right. Now the bar's kind of shifted. As soon as Joe Burrow hurt, I was like, all right, it's still playoffs. I'm going to give them a chance. Let's see if Zach can make the playoffs. Regardless of how they look, I think that is the bar that should be set. Because if he makes the playoffs with 13 games without Joe Burrow, I think that he's done something right. You had to have done something right if you made the playoffs with basically the entire season without Joe Burrow. But looking at it now, the same conversation I had last year when, this team was kind of loose in their marbles, when it seemed like they were on a downward trend, was Zach is losing the locker room. Zach is not uplifting this team. And I hate to say it, but this is almost a perfect storm. You're heading into matchups with the Green Bay Packers, with the Detroit Lions, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're coming off back-to-back embarrassing performances. And it's not like these games were close. This was national television, this past game, embarrassed. So when we talk about, a potential mid-season change, I do think that it would have to be, this upcoming stretch that is kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back, because I do think that at the end of the season, I think that they have 4 very winnable games. Or 3 very winnable games: Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. That's at the end of the season. But I just struggle to see how this team can get through 3 consecutive losses against the Lions, against the Packers, and against the Steelers. And Zac Taylor should still be on this football team. So that's kind of how I view it. I think that if Zac is going to survive this season, I do think that they got to come out with a win against one of these big name teams. Because then at that point, maybe you can say, all right, if you leave this stretch of 3 games and you win one of these next 3, that puts you at 3-4, puts you at 3-4. All right, maybe then you still look at it and say, hey, you've got 10 games left in the season. You got the Jets and Bears before your bye week. Maybe at this point, okay, let's see what he can do. Then maybe you go out and win against the Jets and the Bears, and that puts you at 5-4. And at that point, I don't know if I would necessarily fire Zac Taylor at 5-4 heading into bye week. I mean, you have a winning record, but that means you have to win one of the next 3. So that's kind of how I view it. I think if there's going to be a change, it would have to be either these next 3 games are disasters and losses, and you are in a 4 to 5 game losing streak, maybe at that point. But if it's not then it's got to be, I think, closer to the end of the season. But I think that this is kind of the stretch that Zac has got to right, because I can see a world where if they pull off an upset against one of these teams, and like I said, you got the Bears and you got the Jets. Those are 2 winnable games heading into the bye week. If you have a winning record heading into the bye week, then I hate to say it, but there's going to be hope about this season. There's going to be saying, hey, maybe Joe Burrow can come back, because like I said, those final 3 games, if you can win those final 3 games, you are likely in the playoffs. So that means if you have a winning record heading into the bye week, I do think that he could potentially still stay on as head coach. So if I were to see a midseason change, I think you got to drop these next 3. And that's when I could realistically see
you
it.
know the part that's sickening? You know, people were talking about Marius Mims. Those guys, I'm not done yet. Those guys don't just fall off a cliff. Okay, they don't just fall off a cliff. They don't just stop being good players. You hired the worst. I'm sorry not to curse. This is a kid-friendly show.
Is it?
No, it's not. Fuck.
Fuck.
You went out and you went out there and you brought in the worst offensive line coach. Yes, even worse than Frank Pollock. You brought in the worst offensive line coach, and now you're shocked by the results that you're seeing. Everybody has regressed. I'm surprised Dylan Fairchild has even taken steps forward to look like a good guard in the National Football League. Everybody has taken a step back, even twos and hats. Like, listen, the simple fact of the matter is, I don't get it. I don't get it.
You don't get across the board regression at every single position with your veterans who have been playing in the league for years. Logan Wilson, yeah, he gets older, but like he looks lost out there sometimes. Some of these angles are terrible. Ted Karras, again, you've been in the league, what, 9-10 years? And you just don't know who to block on certain, like what? Like, again, the regression across the board from veterans you're supposed to be able to depend on. That's the baffling part about this. Yeah, you expect some ups and downs, but like 3 or 4 year players have a down season and 3 and 4 year players break out, and it all kind of evens out. Like everyone just seems to be taking a step back.
Everyone.
Except for Dax Hill. Dax Hill looks pretty good.
He looks great, man.
Bright spot for him. Geno
great.
Stone doesn't look anywhere near as bad as he did last season. That's we're saying nice things. Didn't I say last week we needed to say 3 nice things about the Bengals this week? Like, yeah,
They
there's
made
2.
That too?
I mean, Dylan Fairchild, I guess, was the other. Does that count? Like a solid performance?
I just want to know, where is this team? Can I ask you a question though? Where's this team's head at too?
I don't know.
It's going to get to a point where, I would imagine it gets to a point where you just start to overstress, try to overdo it. Now everything feels like the need to feel perfect, the need to feel like you need to make the big play hinders the ability to do any of that.
Didn't Zach say something like that today too? We got to be perfect.
Yeah, like that asking anybody to be perfect is a terrible. Like, yes, we can chase. I want my kids to chase perfection, but they also need to know perfection is not being perfect is fine too. Like it is a tough line to walk when you're doing things like that. But to talk about the coaching, if the midseason coaching change potentially, I think for me, it boils down to those last 2 games before the bye week, the Jets and the Bears. I said it to start the show. I have zero confidence these next 2 games. Absolutely zero. Steelers are playing some good ball right now. They've shown some good things. It's a divisional game. You never know what's going to happen in a divisional game. But the Jets and the Bears, if those 2 games are anything like how the last 2 games and what we expect these next 2 games to be, where you just lose and don't look like you know what you're doing, something has to be done. Those are 2 teams that are not very good. Those are 2 teams that have some great players, some very good, bright stars in the league. Love 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 love Caleb Williams. The Jets still have Sauce Gardner and some good defensive players. But those are teams that you should. I'm not even saying you have to beat them. Those are teams you need to look like you know what you're doing. You need to look like you're playing football. You need to look like you have confidence and you're doing things that normal football teams do. And if you're not against those teams, it's that bye week. It's a perfect time to do anything like that. I think if there is ever going to be a mid-season change, it is going to be because we get embarrassed by the Packers and Lions, lose to the Steelers in a divisional game in primetime again. That is another primetime game. And it gets the Steelers on a short week. And then you lose 1 or 2 of those games and don't really have any promise doing it. There would be no reason to keep Zac Taylor at that point, or any coach. Coaches have been fired for so much less than what we are dealing with Zac Taylor. That doesn't necessarily make it right, but at some point there has to be there's got to be a line to draw. Nothing as good is happening, and it has to get frustrating. I think if we're going anywhere near that bye week, we have maybe 1 more win on our record at that point. There's going to be no good for anybody. There's nothing to play for at that point. And at that point, you have to build for the future. You have to do things. You have to take a different swing. Like Malik said earlier, it just has to be done if we're going to continue to. I can stomach losing games, guys. Don't get me wrong. It's not fun, but getting embarrassed time and time again and looking like you don't know what you're doing. If I have to watch him not block the nose 1 more time or not throw the ball to the wide open receiver over the middle of the field 1 more time, I'm going to lose my mind. It's infuriating. It's the basics of football that we aren't doing.
I'm looking at this schedule and I'm really, I would just say what we've seen hasn't left a lot to be desired. Aaron Rodgers seems to have the Steelers offense playing with confidence, and they seem to be scoring a lot of points. It's been a while since we even scored a touchdown. I look at it. Those are 3 very difficult games. And if the selling point of these games for Zac Taylor is, we're finally getting a win at home. That's what he said today. I actually turned it on today. He said, well, we always knew it was going to be tough. We always knew calls were going to come in late, being on the road in those tough environments. And
real tough team, man. One of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this season. Just real tough matchup, man.
Yeah, Daniel Jones just hung 30 points on them the week before, man. Real tough defense we're going against here.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm having a hard time understanding what Zac Taylor is telling me is you are not qualified offensively with that. I'm listening with that. I'm trying to be nice when I say this. With that talented of an offense that you have, if you want the Brown family to make a move, y'all don't think the Brown family is annoyed that they invested so much in this offense this year and they can't even put a point? They can't even put the ball into the end zone against field. Literally. I think
that almost feels like the red zone at this point, or the end zone. Get across the 50. Woo! Yeah.
It feels like that's what's going to do Zach in more so than anything else.
Is how bad it looks. Well, like Logan said, losing games is different than losing games and looking competitive. Mm-hmm. Being able to at least know who to block, line up at the same depth properly. Mm-hmm. That's the basic football 101 shit that you learn in 3rd and 4th grade in Pee Wee football that you do 1,000 times by the time you get to high school, 1,000,000 times by the time you reach the NFL, and just we just can't do it.
I wanted to say something to y'all really quickly. And this is the part that made me laugh. I was talking to a good friend of mine who's a part of one of the league insiders, whatever. And I said to him, you do know the Brown family is probably pissed, right? He said, what do you mean? I said, they faced a media firestorm this offseason. Mm-hmm. The Bengals literally helped provide content to so many shows all throughout the summer, all throughout the offseason by people just bagging on them, calling them cheap, saying they don't pay their players. They got bullied into paying T. Higgins when they didn't want to by Jamar's agent and T's agent, Rocky, right? They got bullied into that. And they got bullied into the Trey Hendrickson thing when he was already under contract. Any other time, the Bengals would have said, you're playing on the rest of that contract that you have right now. They got bullied into that. And then Zac Taylor, the head coach, who they already had reservations about going into this year, but they said, you know what? This is going to be the year. Well, listen, we're gonna put all the eggs in the basket. Noah Fant gets cut. We're gonna bring Noah Fant in, and it literally has resulted in a dud.
We're never gonna do anything again, man.
Do you know how embarrassing this whole process was for the Bengals? For the product to now look like this, they got dragged in the media, cheap, boycott the Bengals, all of that. Like they listen. There's reaction and there's knee-jerk reactions. I think that I have a hard time seeing the Bengals move off of Zach in season, but I really think that if the Packers and the Lions absolutely dog the Bengals, by the way, let me just say this, that has a real chance of happening. I think it will create some tough conversations.
I'm going to say Lions minus 21.5 is like plus 300. So just
That should be the
So-
normal line.
I thought the line was going to open closer to like 13.5 and it started at 9.5.
God.
It's up to 10.5. I'm just saying, if you believe that the offense that scored 30 points a game against better defenses the last couple weeks, that also has a top 5 defense this season and going up against the Bengals, I mean,
Dude, I'd be shocked.
what are the Bengals scoring a good game?
That's what
10,
I'd be
13?
shocked if this game's within 25 points.
Let's say it gets to 13, right? Are the Lions scoring 30? Because they've scored 30 a couple weeks now. So like that's
They scored 60. A week
they
ago,
scored,
a
yeah,
couple weeks
scored
ago.
50. It's right. So like I'm like, dude, like even if the Bengals have a great offensive game, and I say great being like 13 points, that's a touchdown and 2 field goals, or 14 points if you want to get frisky with 2 touchdowns. Like
What are they scoring? Then?
right. That's what I'm saying is like, okay, so they have at least 30 at that point, right? Like if it's not a blowout, like, hey, emotionally hedge, folks. All right. Hey, if the Bengals win, wow, what a win. But even if not, at least you got a little money in your pocket to go buy some liquor or something. I don't know. Make it all feel better.
Here's what I'm looking at, man. The Packers are a tough game. The Lions are a tough game. The Steelers are a tough game.
Short week.
Right? Short week.
Thursday night.
And that's a Thursday night football game?
Yeah,
The
for
Steelers
sure.
game?
I'm pretty
That
sure.
was a lot of
Steelers,
football. Oh my
Thursday
God.
night.
That's a Thursday night game.
Prime time.
You can
yeah.
beat the Jets, although they
You can.
struggle with running quarterbacks and all that stuff, and that should be interesting. The Ben Johnson game gets interesting. The Ben Johnson and the Bears game gets very interesting for me because listen, I just look at this, man, and I'm like, it doesn't get easier after that because then you face the Steelers, then you face the Patriots, then you face the Ravens, and these teams have
The
looked
Bills.
like the Bills. Like, man,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is rough. Listen, I'm rooting for it. I think that they could find a way to rattle off a win here or there. I think that's the best case outcome. But I just think that the offense has shown little to no firepower, and I think it's very hard for us to sit here and judge the defense right now because it's like the offense hasn't given them anything to build off of. Football is a game of momentum, and when things are down, they're down. There's only so much a position group can do before it breaks, right? The defense can only hold on for so long before the offense before they break because the offense is not answering. We saw it last year with the offense. There were points last year where the offense could not get the defense out of a hole. So guess what? Those interceptions Joe threw or the fumble that the Chiefs recovered or interception that turned into a touchdown, all those stuff gets magnified because it wasn't a perfect game. And if you have a position group that is lacking, guess what? You sort of need to play those perfect games, which brings me to Zac Taylor. If you are an offensive-minded head coach, and you're lauded for being your offensive prowess, well, to this question, would the Bengals consider a mid-season coaching change? If your offense isn't working and the team morale's down, why should they keep you? And that's the real thing. I can see if the offense is scoring a lot and they're fighting, but this team is rolling over. You quit on national television. I told Daniel, when they kicked the field goal, when they went it down all the way down the field, I said, that set the tone for the game. That said, you could punch us in the mouth. And guess what? They never entered the red zone again. That was an embarrassing performance. And for a team in the Broncos that could not stop the run, I had an NFL Insider, Broncos reporter Benjamin Albright on the show leading up to that game, and he said this could be a game where the Bengals might find their run game because the Broncos can't stop anybody. Well, they stopped the Bengals. They had success against the Bengals. I just feel like there's a little bit of a tone deaf. And listen, I understand there is coach speak. Hear me out. I understand there's coach speak, and I respect coach speak to a great degree. But at what point do you just put your nuts on the table and you say, we suck? We need to get better. We expect better of our football team. And you actually approach this with heart. It's not like this is your first year on the job, your second year on the job. This is your 7th year on the job. Hopefully you built up enough autonomy in the organization to where you don't have to tiptoe around and you can just say what's on your mind and you could speak the God's honest truth. There's nothing worthwhile that comes from a Zach Taylor press conference. Hell, if I was a member of the credentialed media, I probably wouldn't even want to show up because I'm going to get the same robotic answers over and over and over again. Time and time again, there's nothing of substance actually being gained from these. Oh, you know what? I lied. You know what I learned in today's Zach Taylor's press conference? How much he hates pregame rituals and how players look. That's what he harped on. A coach that has literally been dog walked his last 2 games. He decided
that's what's on his mind.
And long term, he decided to talk about why he hates talking about how players look pregame because
focused on the important things, man. Focused on the
stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For me, I just think that there's so much more that Zach Taylor should be saying. There should be so much more accountability Zach Taylor should be taking. Like, one thing I've always appreciated about Mike Tomlin is he tells it like it is. He does. He does give his coach speak too, but he also tells it like it is. And so does Harbaugh. You know, at the end of the day, I think that there has to be that level. I think if you're going to get this team to rally behind you, they want you to show a little bit of fire, show a little bit of passion. Obviously, your job as a head coach is also to be the CEO of the team, not to say anything that's going to bring any negative attention. But also, I think there's important to also be real and be honest about it. I think it's important to be real and honest about it and not just giving cliche robotic answers, man. I don't know. Somebody said Zach declined a 5-yard penalty on a 2-yard run. Yeah.
I think that might have been an instance where the ref misspoke.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake too. Yeah. I think that was a mistake. I saw people talking about that. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts. Guys, I want to get to our Bengals versus Lions predictions and bets. Daniel, take it away.
Oh, man. Yeah. There's actually a very good opportunity in this game. I think there's a lot on both sides, to be honest with you, both overs and unders. The easiest side is I'm going to look at the Lions first off. And I do think that there's a lot of opportunities. Obviously, some of the props aren't up on FanDuel. Some are up on DraftKings. But just to give you guys a little nugget, the way I see this is a Lions team that runs the piss out of the ball. That's what they do. They run the hell out of the ball. They set the tone. They set the line of scrimmage, and they do a lot of fun stuff, a lot of tricky stuff. But I'm going to keep it plain and simple. The way that they play, David Montgomery is going to get his 10 rushes. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be on the field for about 65% of the snaps. I like Jahmyr Gibbs over rushing yards. I know he's a factor in the receiving game, but he is their big play guy. He is their guy. He is their workhorse. David Montgomery is typically going to get those goal line snaps. He's typically going to get their 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2s, short yardage snaps. And I think he could have a big game. But I just like Jahmyr Gibbs' over in rushing yards, as well as if you want to look at David Montgomery, I like David Montgomery's over in longest rush because this is something, like I said, he is in on these short yardage plays. But we saw, against the Baltimore Ravens, I believe that was the game where he broke out a couple big-time runs. And you look at the Cincinnati Bengals rushing defense, they've held up at spurts and times, but J.K. Dobbins was the Denver Broncos' first ever, in the past 36 games, I believe, first 100-plus yard rusher. That's history. And that's something that is not just indicative on one player, but that is the Cincinnati Bengals right now. And that's been a constant theme. And to be honest, everybody who's a Bengals fan knows, hey, if you look at the opposing side, you take the running back. So that's the first avenue that I'm looking at. And if we're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals side, There's not a whole bunch I love, to be honest with you. I like Jake Brown and throw an interception. I think that's a.
Can I give you something I love?
Yeah, let's hear.
I got two.
Yeah.
So obviously I talked about Lions alternative spreads.
Mhm.
Not a bad idea to ladder bet,
Not
like
at all.
minus 13.5, $20, minus 16.5, $15, $10, whatever, and then play the blowout. That's a good ladder bet. Right now, FanDuel has the Cincinnati Bengals total points as 19.5.
Oh my Lord.
Guys, the Lions defense is 6th in EPA per play, 2nd in success rate, 4th in rush EPA, and 11th in dropback EPA. I don't think the Bengals are scoring 19.5 points. So under there is a potential. And then, like I just said, they are 2nd in success rate and 4th in rush EPA. Jack Campbell is currently a top 10 linebacker, according to PFF grades. Lee, or 2nd, I believe. 4th in run defense, 2nd in defensive stops total. Been a very good run defender. Their line is solid. Aiden Hutchinson has been lights out, and the Bengals already struggle to run the ball even against light boxes. I'm looking at the Chase Brown under on rushing yards. Like I think that's an easy lock. That'll definitely be something I'm probably putting like 2 units on this week.
Yeah, I like that. And even just looking at that too, obviously we'll have 𝗦𝗣𝗢𝗓𝗏 out on the YouTube channel, but their defensive line is phenomenal. They just spent first round pick on Tylee Williams, and he's playing only 30% of snaps, but he's the backup. DJ Reader's there. Their defensive line, they are just beefy, and it is going to be very difficult to run the ball on them. Logan, I don't know if you had any, but one last one. Like I said, anytime touchdown, you're going to have your options. Jahmyr Gibbs is at minus 230. Like David Montgomery's at minus 185. It's probably not worth taking those guys. But if there's anything else, like I said, I think that Jahmyr Gibbs rushing yards is pretty much a lot.
Yeah. The things I kind of want to bring up were kind of the things I was kind of joking around with you guys about before the game. And first one, Pete Crawley kind of mentioned in the comments too, is just David Montgomery coming home for the first time. The Lions love, honestly, I mean, I don't want to call it stat pattern, but the Lions love to score the ball at the end of the game when they're already up by a lot. The Lions are going to make sure David Montgomery is going to get his. Coming home, again, playing the first time, whole family, everybody and his family going to be there, going to bring so many people to the stands. David Montgomery is probably scoring 2 or 3 times on Sunday. Like, they're going to just make sure it happens. That's just what the Lions do. That's just what they do, whether you love it or hate it, whatever. That David Montgomery is going to find himself in the end zone several times on Sunday. And the other thing, I don't think there's a way to bet it. There's nothing. But somebody on the Lions offensive line is catching a pass Sunday. They're going to run that same stupid screen Alabama ran for Caden Proctor, and somebody's housing it. They just are. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting from everything about this game. They're going to do stuff. The Lions always do stuff like that anyway. You know, they have these trick plays. They have these fun wrinkles of things. Dude, like, if they find a way to get Penei Sewell in the end zone so they can just sit there and post something about Penei Sewell scoring a touchdown when Jamar Chase doesn't, they will do it. Like, there are so many things that they love their narratives. They love doing all this stuff. And they love just having fun and making creative football plays. The Lions are going to be able to do essentially whatever they want against us. And I don't envision us stopping or having too much resistance in many parts. I think the Lions, again, there's no way for, I don't think anybody to bet on a lineman to score a touchdown, but if there was, I'd probably freaking do it.
Yeah. And one last thing on this too is something that was kind of embarrassing to think about, but it's what J.K. Dobbins and what they said about him. He said, hey, they've been wanting this record. J.K.'s been wanting this record. And before the game, J.K. said, like, this is the game. I'm going to get it. Like, if somebody else is talking about your team like that, it shows that there is a massive flaw. And for me, that shows that a team is expecting to walk in to your team and walk in your trap and take over your trap.
There
and
we go.
That's being nice about it.
Like I think that this is a team that is the short lines. They are ready to go out there and do that. And like I think that we'll have more props once the full props are up. But I think David Montgomery's getting a rush of 20+ yards. So is Jahmyr Gibbs. And it's going to be tough sledding for the Bengals defense. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that is loaded, man, for sure. Again, we appreciate you guys taking the time to join us on State of the Jungle. And I'll be live tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for the Sit Down Morning Show with Malik Wright, and on Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for the Sit Down with Malik Wright. Also, our exclusive one-on-one sit-down interview with Bengals first-round draft pick Shamar Stewart, his first one-on-one sit-down interview since coming to Cincinnati, will be going live on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys turn on post notifications and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you guys do not miss that interview. Well, boys, it's been a rough week. We're hoping for a game on Sunday. And until next time on the show, as always, we appreciate y'all. 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗓.